Google Classroom training earlier. It's the same document. We just have some advanced features. So this is something that this is the bottom part of the document, and we're gonna be talking about these topics as many as we can or as many as we need to. One of the things that I think is important is in using Google Classroom is knowing how to integrate the G Suite products with Classroom. And so what that means is that knowing how to create something so that your students have an actual document to turn in and that you're not leaving the sharing up to them. Does that make sense? So what I mean by that is like I have questions pretty often from teachers about, well, I created an assignment and told the kids that they need to turn in their documents, but they didn't turn in a document, they just hit turned in. And so what happens was when the assignment was created, you as a teacher can attach something to it, can attach even a blank document and attach that document, attach the spreadsheet, whatever item you want them to work on. If it's something completely, something like a brand new essay, something completely of their creation, then you go ahead and give them a blank document, and then they can work on that document. And as soon as they click the assignment and open their own document, then that's theirs. It's linked to their name. It's linked to their identity, and then they will actually have a turn-in button up in the right-hand corner of the document, so that whenever they get finished with it, then they hit turn in and it records that turned in feature in Google Classroom, and nobody has to worry about any sharing settings. So any questions about that? How are we, anybody have a question on the beyond that, or a little bit more, need more clarification?
No, remember, if you do have questions, the back channel is the chat. So I'm here answering those questions.
Yes, please use the chat. Christy is gonna be looking at those more carefully. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my screen sharing, and I'm gonna go to it, open up a Google Classroom. Let me figure out which one I want to use because I have a bunch of them. Sometimes I'll create a new Google Classroom, and then I use that for everything. Okay, so I have one called New Class, and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so from Google Classroom, we go to the Classwork page, and then, oh, this is another thing. If you're not using topics, do use some topics. This makes it really easy for students to find what they need, especially right now because it's really hard, for them to keep up with everything. So it'd be great if you were to use topics, and that's as easy as creating a new assignment. You just go right down here to go to create, and then topic, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to go with the week number. I'm going to continue with that theme right now. And so that just creates a new topic. But you can see over here on the left that all of the topics are listed. And then I can even move them however I want. I just click it and drag it, and then it rearranges to that same order over on the left. So does that make sense to everybody? Christy, do we have any questions on that? We're good?
We have questions, but it's not about that. So.
Not about that? Okay. Okay.
I have a question about that.
Okay, thank you. Ask.
If we have posted things already, can we drag them into this new topic we've created if we're trying to organize it now?
Actually, you can do that. You can go back to the item that you have already posted. for example, this is one that I just posted yesterday. And over here, when I click on the assignment, over here, I get the 3 dots. I'm going to edit that. And then I can go to the side panel on the right and find topic. And I can change the topic, or I can even create a new topic. Let's see. It doesn't matter what it is. And then once I've done that, all I need to do is save that again.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, anything that you have that hasn't had a topic yet, you can go right in and create all the topics you want and then reassign those to a topic. And, you know, the great thing about it is that over here is where the students can have the quick menu, and then all they have to do is just click on what's for week 1, which in this one there's nothing. But if I click on, all I want to see is essays, then I click on essays, and then that's the only assignment that I'll see there. Any other questions on using the topics or thoughts on using topics?
Hey, they're not able to, some of them aren't able to see your screen for screen share. It might be because of the grid view. If they have the grid view extension, and that might be why you can't see it big. You can click on her little on the little icon and it should pop up. There's like a thing to blow that one little grid up.
Sometimes also, if you've clicked on another user who's in the meet with us, and you have inadvertently clicked the pin, you might pin them. Followed by the pound key. You might pin them to the screen instead of, and see them instead of me, or whatever we're showing.
Your call will be connected when you enter the pin followed by the pound key.
I just want to ask if you'll, again, make sure that you are muted, that your sound is muted until it's time to talk.
Because a lot of people are on this call. Press *6 to unmute. The call is being recorded.
Oh my goodness.
You unmuted yourself.
Okay. Let's all do a sound check and make sure that our microphones are muted.
Carmen, can you mute your mic?
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I have a question. In one assignment, I was adding a video, a Google form, and a link. I wasn't able to see who completed it. Oh, okay, got it. I see. That was an earlier question. Let's see. Other questions about the topics? Any other thoughts on the topics? Okay, I'm going to go back to the outline that we have. Giving effective feedback. Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we can maybe have a conversation about the feedback. What do you guys think about feedback? How do you do that now? When you give feedback to your students, what does that look like? Or what is it? What kind of phrases do you use? Okay. Okay, respond back in the forms. Okay, so Tamara, you respond back in the Google Forms, so you build in a feedback answer?
Yes, that's what I do. Like, I look at the question and then I give them individualized feedback based on what they responded. And then I've put in sentence stems inside the description to help them be able to communicate in complete sentences.
Okay.
And then I give them feedback if they're on track or and I give them extended questions. Like if they need more probing to get to like the point that I'm trying to get them to get to, I do that.
Okay, good. Okay, and so I see others are posting comments. So that's something that you're posting comments within the Google Class on assignments in Google Classroom. So I want to go through how to do that. I don't know that that's something that we cover much in a basic class. And we can talk about some things that might be a little bit more that might make feedback kind of effective. Let's see, I'm going to go to, I think we've got something in this class that I can look at. Maybe. Okay. Oh, I know. We do have one. So there's one assignment that has been turned in, and I know that the person who turned it in is not going to mind us looking at it. So this is an example of if I went to an assignment and I wanted to see, I would be able to see who's turned it in, and that 14 people have not turned it in yet. So I want to look at this one person's assignment. And so I click on what she's turned in, and I'm going to click there. And now that gives me the grading screen. And over here, I can highlight something in the document, and then I can I can click on the right and add a private comment. And then post. And then that's going to go.
Tammy, they don't see your screen.
They don't. Am I not? Am I? Uh-oh.
No.
Sorry. Let me try again. Oh, I turned present off. I'm so sorry. Thank you for letting me know, Christy. Let's try that again. Okay. All right. So let's see. Back on the Google Classroom. Let's say I want to see what's been turned in on this assignment, and it was all just in a Google Doc, but it doesn't matter that about Google Docs or spreadsheets or slides, whatever, because you're still going to get the same grading features as long as it's in a Google tool. So I want to open this and find out what she's done, and I'm going to click on it. Close a tab or two up here. Click on this document. And this is one student's work. And so at this point, I can give some feedback. For example, I can say, I can highlight something just like you would if you were in a Google Doc. Excuse me. And then I can go over to the right-hand side and click Add a Private Comment. Okay, now that's a comment that's going to be something like, maybe try again, or, something like that's not that's more than way to go, nice job. You can say that, but if it's a student who really needs your help, then you might want to offer a little bit more constructive feedback. At this point, then you can do this in any of the documents. All you have to do is, again, highlight, add that comment. Excuse me. Okay, in the same kind of short little lesson here, you also have the ability to add a grade and return it to that student. Okay. Okay. Questions about adding comments of some sort and adding some feedback to assignments?
Everything's going good.
Going good. All
Yep.
right. Excellent. Okay, so back on our agenda then. This is using questions for discussion boards. That's a good one. So if you're in Google Classroom, you actually have the ability to have a classroom discussion, And that's going to require that you allow your students to post. So I'm going to go to Google Classroom, and this time I'm really going to share my screen when I say I am. And then I'll show you what that looks like. Excuse me. Okay, so let's say I want to have a classroom discussion, and I go to my classwork page. I can create a question, and I can have this. It's just a short answer question. I can have multiple choice, but short answer will allow students, students to just respond any way they need to. So I'm going to ask this, but I need to make sure that my students also have the ability to respond to questions. Sometimes we turn that off. So I'm going to go back to my classroom settings. Let's see, is it in here? Or did I turn it off in the other place? Nope. I forgot where they put it, actually. Well, nope.
Tammy, while you're finding that,
thank you.
Daniela had a question, and I
Okay.
need to chime in anyways.
Good.
Let me go ahead and show you, Daniela. Her question was about if a student deletes an assignment that they've made, had them put a copy in, how do you fix that? So let me show you. Okay, here is let me go back. This is a class that I am in. I'm a student in, okay? So if I go to right here, oh, well, I just deleted it. I shouldn't have deleted it. And I go to view this assignment. I deleted it. There was an X right here, and I just removed it. And it says that, oh no, I removed a file for you. I can click make a copy. And then when I do, it copies that again. And then now I can I have it again. So all that the kids need to do is just click make a copy. Yes, they did remove it. They pushed the X on accident, but they just click make a copy and it comes right back. So now I have it again. And that's it. Hopefully that helps, Daniela. Okay. All right, that's all, Tammy.
Okay. Sorry, I was looking for the setting where you can actually turn on where students can post and comment. I was like, where is that? They moved it away. So let me change, and I'm going to present and show you where that is on the Google settings, the settings for Google Classroom. If you go into your classroom settings, and this is the little gear up in the right-hand corner, when you turn that on, down below, it has the class code, and then it has the stream page. It asks you on the stream page if students can post and comment, and then you can change it so that they can only comment or that only teachers can post and comment. So if you want to have a discussion, then you can let them post and comment, or you can let them comment only. And you can turn this off at any time. Whenever you want them to just be quiet and you don't want them to have the ability to respond in any way, then you can turn it back to only teachers can post and comment. For professional learning classes, we almost always leave that on, and I think that is also the default setting for Google Classroom. So, and then down below that is also the classwork on the stream. You can show all of the attachments and details, or you can hide the notifications or show condensed notifications, which is, again, the default. And what that means is that whenever you first go to Google Classroom and you see that stream page, then this is the landing page for Google Classroom, so that you're controlling what students can do there. And you can have a discussion here too. This is actually a better place for discussion even. Once you're on the stream page, then you have the ability for students to respond in just about any way. And you can just post, like where it share something with your students. I can share it here. You just want to remember what your settings are and if they're appropriate for your students. And now you can see there's a place to add a comment. Okay, questions about the conversations? You have really two methods of I guess, I don't know if a question would even be considered a conversational tool now, to be honest. I think that's what our agenda said, but a question can be a graded assignment, and it's less conversational than just going to the stream page and posting a question and allowing your students to respond that way. That kind of open conversation is not a graded thing.
Stephanie, did that answer your question with the Google Slides and how to insert the Teach Piece video into the Google Slides? Hopefully it did. I gave the Google Slides, she needed to know, and she wanted to link her video into the Google Slides and not add it as an extra piece into Google Classroom. Was that possible? And it is possible. You just put your Teach Piece video into Google Drive, and then in your Google Slides, you go to insert video, and then choose the video from your Google Drive, and it will just insert into a Google Slide page so that you can have less things in your assignment for the students in the Google Classroom. Any questions that you have that we haven't answered besides anything with Google Forms?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, I noticed that my students are turning in their work on Google Classroom, but I'm also getting a copy of it in my Google Drive, like I think it's called Shared With Me. And that part is just cluttered with, all these different assignments from all these different kids. And I don't think they're turning it in just by sharing it with me. I think it's making a copy. They turn it in to Google Classroom, and then a copy shows up in my Drive.
Does it have their name in the copy?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because technically it is shared with you when they turn it in. Technically it is. So I would think that might have to happen.
Okay.
Tammy, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I am. Okay, I have way too many tabs open and other things going on. So yes, to answer that question, that is something that has to happen.
Yeah.
It really is technically shared with you. So yeah, it's going to happen. And I have a lot of classes that I've been a part of. So when I go to my Shared With Me folder, it's full of students I don't know and and names that I don't know, but I don't really go to my shared with me drive very often just because of there's so much in there. But that's just something that is going to happen. Questions about that? Let's see, other questions.
Tamara had a question about Google Forms and sharing it. So in a Google Form, if you go to here, let me present my screen.
Okay, because I'm seeing her question. When I make a form, how can I share it? And replies would not go into my spreadsheet.
Okay, so I'm making a form, okay? And what she's saying is that she's making the form and sharing it with another colleague, but then the colleague's answers, they're just taking that form right there and they're seeing all their students' responses. If you go to right here where the 3 dots are and you click add collaborators, that you can add them as a collaborator. Also, you can take this right here. Well, I have to actually do something so that it will know. So I have to say hi, and then I don't know, something. Okay. All right. So once I do that, now I can take this right here and at the top on my bar and change it from edit to copy. And so when you send them that link right there and I open a new tab, then it will force a copy. So I'm going to paste that link right there. And now it's going to say, would you like to make a copy of test? And then I can say, yes, I want to make a copy. And that will make a brand new copy into my drive of that Google form.
So Tamara, to answer your question, and you would actually just change the last words, copy, right, to edit, and that's what you share with your teachers. If they want a copy of your great form, that way it's their copy, it's out of your hands. You don't have to ever see their kids' responses.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, because I was having problems of them, like when their kids would respond, it would show up in mine. I'm like, who's this kid? And so I was like, okay, what am I going to do with that? So thank you so much.
Yeah, you don't need to share the same form with your other teachers because, excuse me, if you don't teach the same students, then your teacher can see your students' responses, and you can see your teacher's kids' responses, and that kind of I don't know, unless you have a need to know, that sort of violates some privacy issues too. So you want to make sure that you protect your students' responses in as many ways as possible.
And Ms. Ortiz, if you're still on for Google Forms, you wanted to know about logic branching, go to our virtual office hours, and they can talk to you about how to do that. But that is through Google Forms, and it's logic branching for correct answers. So if they get an answer wrong, it could go one place. If they get an answer right, it could go another place.
I think we have a Google Forms thing tomorrow at 8 p.m. and then Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. So we have 2 Google Form sessions, one tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and then one the following day at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that would be a really good place to kind of hash that out.
And there's the Google Meet for our office hours. They start in 30 minutes.
Okay. Other questions related to Google, more advanced features of Google Classroom? I see one. Somebody had a question about moving topics up and down. Did we cover that?
What can I go ahead and present real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I forgot there was something else that someone had a question about. Okay. So I've been playing with these classes. So here is a class, okay, that I'm a teacher of, okay. All right, so I've been playing around with all my tests. So here's one that I don't have any posts from. I just take and move it. So I'm dragging and I drop where I want it to go. But say I want them to do the Intro to World War I first, then I just drag and drop the assignments and I can move them around, okay? And I can see. And then if I didn't close it, the drafts, I can now delete the drafts. And then that's what I can do. And right here on the left-hand side are all of my topics. All right. So now the kids and me can go ahead and like click on just that apply day. And now I have just those apply day things. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the back channel about material post. So this right here was, I just wanted them to have this Valentine's Google form. And so it wasn't an actual assignment. So I post that as well with the text and keys of a Google Doc. But I didn't necessarily want it to be an assignment for them to mark as done or turn in. I just needed to give them information. So I made that a material post. But then for some other things, I had these are all, this is a question, okay, like, but there is an assignment. I posted, I promise I posted an assignment.
I know this is going to seem like a dumb question, but sometimes when we're working with teachers, we get the idea that teachers, that maybe there's assignments and announcements, that there's maybe a little confusion between those two. Christy, do you want to show the difference as long as you've got your screen up?
Sure.
Okay.
So this is an assignment, okay, that I'm showing you right now, okay? So this right here, or not this one, this was a material post, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here is a material post. I needed to just give them the station task cards. So this right here were sample stations with a reflection. It is a Google slide, okay, but I don't really need them to do anything with it. So because I don't need them to do anything with it, in the top right-hand corner, it doesn't say turn in or anything because I didn't make it an assignment. I just made it a material post, okay?
Yeah. So just to clarify on that, a material post is where you're sharing resources. Mm-hmm. You're not creating a place for them to turn in anything or respond, really. It's just an FYI, here's stuff you'll need.
Yes. But then right here, this is an assignment. So it's an assignment where everyone's going to get a copy. And I know that everyone got a copy because it has their name and then whatever the name of the document was, okay? And, and so that is going to give them a copy. And also when they're working in that assignment, I'm going to be able to see who's done. So everyone's had it assigned, no one turned it in, okay?
Also, Chrissy, over on the left-hand side, if y'all can see her screen, you might show that because it's an assignment, it's a gradable thing. It gives a place to put grades and give comments and feedback. That makes it different.
I can click 100 on it, and I can click return. All right, and I can also, okay, give her private comment. So I can say, nice work, whatever you wanted to say, and return it. And so now they're going to get that returned item, but then they're also going to get the comment as well. Okay. And when you go to Classwork, okay, is where you have your creation options. So we talked about questions and we talked about material. Material it used to be called announcement, now it's called material. So you might hear those the same. It's the same thing. And so that material post was like that stations. It was a Google slide, but I didn't want them to do anything with it. I just needed them to have that information. And then the quiz assignment and a regular assignment, okay? A quiz assignment is when you can make a Google Forms right into it, okay? So it's going to, you click quiz assignment and it makes it for you. And then you can click on it and you can change it up, interact with it. But it automatically adds it to them. And then it also has the locked mode in Chromebooks. So if they had a Chromebook, it would lock them in there. I know that we don't really need that since they're working at their own pace right now, but that is a feature. And then grade importing, it just means that whatever, and this would help if and when, hopefully, Google Classroom could talk to Skyward, and that importing would take whatever they made on the forms, so on the grade, and then it would put it into Google Classroom automatically. So you wouldn't have to go back to that form or that spreadsheet that the form created in order to see the grade. So that's what that grade importing means. And again, on the right-hand side, you can add points, and you can add your topic and due dates, just like with any other assignments. And then not with a quiz assignment, but with a regular assignment, they do have a rubric option now. It's grayed out on the quiz assignment, but not on the regular assignments. So right here, okay, well, that's weird. Okay, well, normally, oh, maybe it's because I don't have anything. Let's just try it. Let's just create a new something. There we go.
And that's a nice feature that Google hasn't always had, is the ability to create a document on the fly. And that if you've forgotten to create a document ahead of time, you're going to be able to do it right there.
Yep.
As you create the assignment, so that your students don't have to wonder, how am I supposed to share this?
Yep. And so I can just have, like, this can be a blank template, and I can just say, write your personal narrative here. Personal narrative here. And then maybe, other students are gonna comment on there, so I can say that. Then I can go back here and I can say, instead of students can view a file, I say make a copy for each student. And then right here is that rubric, that new rubric thing. So I can create a rubric, I can import one from Sheets, or I can reuse a rubric I've already done. So I can click create rubric, and I can create a rubric. And see, it has all this nice little, all the different levels and the points and criterion and things like that. So it's really kind of nice that you can put in a rubric right into the assignment. Okay. Questions?
Okay, Christy, we got a question for elaborating a little more on the grade importing feature. The question is, I did it, but I did not show any grade on Skyward. Just, you might want to show that again, but Skyward and Google Classroom are not yet linked. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would have to go through a few more steps to put those grades into Skyward. That is, that's an import feature, but there's usually someone on every campus who knows how to do it. It's just not, it's not the easiest thing.
So the thing that was talking about grade importing is, instead of having to look into that Google form or that spreadsheet that the form creates, all it does is it puts the grades in there right automatically. So it just allows for you just to have to look at Google Classroom and nothing else.
Okay, another question is, say you post a question and create a Google form. I'm getting the option to put in their email addresses when I hit the send button. Is there any way it can send to all of the students in the classroom that I posted? Well, the answer is actually, when you create a form, you have the option of collecting the email addresses rather than sending to those students. And depending on the age level of your students, you don't really want to send them an email, because most of them, if they're younger than, say, high school, they probably don't even use email. And in high school, they're not really all that crazy about it either. So if you're posting a question, Christy, you're still sharing your screen.
Oh. Well, there you go. No.
There you go. So if you post a question in a Google form, then you do want to collect their email addresses, and that's actually a good thing, because you're going to be able to, if you forget to ask ask them to put their names in, then you'll also have their email addresses. It's just in one column in the spreadsheet. But the question is there a way it can send to all of the students in the classroom that I posted in? Well, if you're creating a Google form and you create it within the Google Classroom, it's going to automatically be available to all of those students. Does that answer the question?
Okay. And we're, Tammy, aren't we done with our agenda?
Let me check. Let's see, we need to show how to add co-teachers and add students to, we need to show reusing posts as well. I tell you what, let's show how to reuse a post and then how to add a co-teacher or add a student who may not show up some other way.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's my post. Okay. So I'm gonna click on the three. Well, you know what? They changed this. They changed it.
I think it's in the create, Christy.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Okay, so create and then reuse post, and then you can reuse a post from any class, which I really like that, because if I'm in leverage technology, but I want to use one of the STAR review, I can do that. So I'm going to go over here, and I want to use this financial article. So I can click on it, and then I can click reuse. And then it's going to reuse it, but it's going to open up. See, so I'm in, even though I got it from Ms. Peterson's class, I can use it from the one that we're in. And so I can click on the topic that I want it to go under, and I can send it to just select students or all of my students. So maybe I just want it to go to a few. Okay.
That's a great way to differentiate too, is selecting just certain students that need to see a different assignment or a particular resource.
And right here, I can either create a new document or slide. So maybe I want them to do this article, but now I want them to do something with it. I can add that too. And then
So
I can post.
Also on reusing posts, if you teach multiple sections of one class, like at middle school or high school, you're going to want to reuse a post for every section of the class that you teach. So when you create a new post, let's say you create a brand new assignment or a new material or whatever, you can assign it a topic, and then you can share it with that and post it to all of your classes, and it'll stay in the topic. It'll remain there. It'll just go to all of those classes. That's kind of like the reusing post feature, but you're kind of using it you're reusing it before you even post it. So anybody need to see that?
And right here, it says the class drive folder. So this is my class drive folder. And right here is where the items that they had done, the activities. So see, here's all of theirs. So someone said earlier that it's going in there shared with me. Well, that folder, it does go into your drive, but you should have separate class folders for each one of your classrooms. And then within that, all the assignments should have their own little tab. So if you click on class drive folder, that should help with the organizing, and you should have a folder for every Google Classroom. And then for people, so if you want to add teachers, you just click on people and then click on the plus sign, and then you can invite. You can type their name and invite multiple teachers. And then the same thing with students. You can add their name, and you can, so here's Emily, and I can invite her to be a student in the class.
So sometimes it's helpful to be able to invite students this way. For some reason, whenever students, occasionally when students are new to the district, I don't know, for whatever reason, they can't join a class or something. So it's good to be able just to do it manually.
And this is the grade view, is it, what people are saying. So you can go into each individual class and look at the grades and put comments, but this last grade tab, it shows all the assignments that they have. It shows them who's missing what their grade is. So this tab shows them all together.
So on the question, I just wanted to kind of go back to the importing grades. On the question of whether of importing into Skyward, again, that's a kind of a special feature, and because Christy and I we don't have any students in Skyward, and we don't use that feature. Skyward is just basically a great big database, and every database has its own. Every database has its own little protocols, but Skyward has a specific way that they want you to import grades. But you can save all of the grades in your Google Classroom gradebook. Just download them as a CSV file, which is just a basic spreadsheet, and then you can import those into Skyward. And I think the instructions are in Skyward, but as I said earlier, there's usually somebody on every campus that knows how to do that, at least at secondary. So it's just a matter of knowing what the column headings are for your Skyward, that Skyward requires. And I think it's only 4 of them. It's like the last name, first name, ID number, maybe something else. I forget what the last one is. But again, that information's in Skyward, so it is possible. It's just not an automatic thing. But Google has started to begin linking student information systems like Skyward. They just haven't done Skyward yet. So I kind of expect that to happen, not too distant future, actually. Okay. Question, Christy, you have a question. Do you know why I can't schedule a post for multiple classes at once?
Let's see. Let me see if I can, and to see what happens. So I'm going to go to create, and you're doing an assignment, I think. And then text. Okay. So schedule. Okay, so 4. I'm gonna say I want it to be 4. Like,
Kristen, turn on your screen sharing.
Oh. Yep.
It's easy to forget, guys.
No, I'm not using
your patience.
oops, forgot about that part. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so I want to do it for that, and I don't know. Gosh, that. Okay, so for 2 of my classes, and I want to push the drop down, and schedule's not there. You're right.
I'll put a due date on it.
The due date on it. Let's see. Let's see, in a week. Okay.
See if that makes a difference. Nope. Well,
that is not very friendly. So I guess you can't schedule.
Not going to happen.
Multiple classes. So only Amy got it, or she learned that we can't, and I didn't know that you can't schedule for multiple classes. You can only assign right then and there for multiple classes. Okay, because if I wanted to assign, I could go ahead and assign right here. For multiple
yeah,
classes.
I think you could go back and edit each one of those posts. But if you're assigning it for classes that meet at a different time, then you probably don't want it to be. You don't want it to go out at the same time. Maybe, I don't know.
Yep, it's not grayed out for just one class. So yep, man, we need to change that.
Yeah. Any other questions? Well, if there aren't any other questions, I hope we clarified concerns that you have and kind of hit all of the high points, at least that we had on the agenda that we had planned. If you have other questions, though, feel free to reach out to either Christy or me or your instructional coach for your tech coach for your campus, and we are happy to try to answer those questions. We can have we can add them to our advanced Google Classroom agenda, or maybe even have a whole class built around your question.
And if you're playing around with it, remember we do have open office hours at 3 today, so in a few minutes. And I posted that link earlier. So if you play around with it and you have a question, don't struggle too long. Just jump on and ask.
Yeah, somebody will try it out with you. All right, I think that's all we have for you.